The Nintendo Eshop has loads of games. I mean, like loads of them. Some of them are really, really good, and some of them... One of my favourite things to do in the week is to scroll down the offers list to try and find myself a bargain. However, if you've never played the game or you've never heard of them, how do you know what's good and how do you know what's not good? Now, there are lots of videos online which take a brief glance at the sales each week to try and give you recommendations on good games and bad games, which is great to watch. I watch them quite a lot as well. However, for this series, I want to do something a little bit different and just take a couple of games that I've been playing over the last week and give you more of an in-depth review as to whether I think it would be a good buy for you. The games that I've got for you this week are Urban Trial Playground and Syberia. To be quite honest, there's lots of games that have similar mechanics in gameplay as Urban Trials Playground. These kind of games have been around for a long time too. Although the Urban Trial series have only been around for a few years, the Trial series, which you'll be surprised to know is different, have been around for 20 plus years. They both, however, have very similar gameplay mechanics. The goal of this particular Urban Trials game is to try and get through each level without crashing and by performing the best stunts to get points. You'll also get points for completing the challenges, which are up there. There we go. I mean, that's half the levels. There's also levels where your main goal is speed and you need to get through the levels as fast as you can. The variety of levels are good as it does keep you coming back for more to try and get all the stars you can at the end of each level. Apparently you also get a prize for completing all the challenges. I haven't got around to doing this yet, but I am a bit intrigued, so I'll get around to that at some point, I'm sure. As you get more points, you'll also unlock different bikes and components of the bike, which is something else to go for. And there's also coins, which give you points in each of the levels as well. So all in all, there are quite a few reasons to keep going through the levels. The gameplay in general is pretty good, if not a bit simplistic, really. There's only a few different tricks you can do, and it's all based on how you shift your weight on the bike. So you can't, for instance, perform some like mad handlebar grab or handstand, for instance, like you can on other similar games. It's all about the wheelies, the front and back flips, and the stoppies, which I honestly hadn't heard of until I started playing this game. Overall, there are 54 levels to go through, although the levels are repeated for both the skills challenge and the speed challenge, so you'll be playing through each environment twice. As you can see, the setting is like a Hawaii, Miami, LA one, and the level variety is okay, but I did find that many of the levels did feel a bit similar when it came to design. With the limited amount of moves you can do, there's not really a huge amount of environmental obstacles you can use to differentiate the levels. I mean, really, it's just down to ride fast, jump over a ramp, avoid landing in a ditch or straight at a wall and repeat. With some quite samey backdrops behind you. There's a lot of pools, beaches and these weird TK, TJ Maxx wannabe shops in the background. I personally think a bit more variety would have been nice, possibly some indoor levels, something like that. The game does play pretty well though. I would suggest playing it docked, as it does dip a little bit in terms of frame rate if you use it handheld, but not that the game's unplayable. It's just noticeably not as good. The music and the audio I sort of found hilarious, to be honest, and really quite irritating at the same time. It's exactly what you would expect from this kind of game. The music sounds a little bit like a pre-recorded mix you can listen to on a keyboard. I don't think they went all out with the music choices on this game. The character dialogue is quite honestly infuriating. The man comes out with such peaches as trip and more, and I'm fairly sure I heard him shout "shake it baby" at the end of a level. I thought that by changing to the woman character it might be less annoying. I was sadly mistaken. I was hit with "keep it rockin'," "home run" and "sweet." After about 10 minutes I put the game on mute and listened to my own music. So maybe the music got better towards the end of the game, but I mean I'd be surprised, to be honest. One other thing I did find a bit annoying was when it came to changing and updating the bike. You have to leave the game, go back to the main menu and then re-enter the game once you've changed what you need to. just seems a little bit unnecessary. For me personally, I actually didn't find the change of the bikes or the engine or the parts of the bike to affect performance that much. Maybe it's just because I was good on the slower bike, I don't know, but I never really felt much of a need to change my ride. All things considered though, I did have fun with the game, and I can see myself heading back to it to maybe complete a few more challenges from time to time. I mean, if I'd have paid £13.49 or $14.99 or €14.99, I might have been a little bit disappointed. However, for the price that I ended up paying, I think it's definitely worth it and worth a punt if you like this style of game. As someone who loves video games, I'm probably in the minority that had never heard of the Syberia series before, but apparently after a quick Google search, it's an old game. In fact, the game's almost 20 years old, with the first released in 2002 for Microsoft Windows. As somebody who in general has never really gotten into point and click games, I wasn't really expecting to enjoy Syberia at all. Even when I started playing, I was still unsure. The visuals weren't exactly 2021 modern. The gameplay, for instance, is on a 4:3 ratio, which feels a bit jarring in today's gaming era. The artwork in general is dated, however the way in which the still backgrounds have a hand-painted effect does have a certain charm, which I came to appreciate more as the game went on. The story is quite unique. The protagonist, Kate Walker, a lawyer from New York, has been sent by her employer to a small French village, Valladolid, in order to finalise the takeover of the local toy factory owned by a Miss Anna Vorarlberg. However, things become complicated when you find that Anna has recently passed away and in fact has a brother who is a rightful heir to the business. The story really centres around Kate's journey to find this mysterious brother. Along the way you'll meet lots of different characters, each with unique personalities. Entwined with the story is a fantasy element in that many of these characters and much of the landscape and items you interact with are mechanical in nature, designed by the same person responsible for many of the designs at the toy factory in Valladolid. I won't ruin that for you now though. Overall though, the story is a real highlight of the game, as it should be for a point and click adventure title, and is, I imagine, a major reason why there have been so many ports of this title over the years. Back to the visuals. Alongside the painted 2D backdrop, you have 3D characters operating in a 3D space. Kate, as you'll see, may remind you of certain other protagonists from that era. Lara Croft, anyone? Yeah, I can see it. Her design is perfectly suited to her backstory. Other characters, however, are, in a word, terrifying. Simply terrifying. I mean, look at this guy, and this guy, and this guy. The cutscenes do fare a lot better and are actually quite lovely. All in all, the visuals do have a charming charisma that does make you want to play on. The gameplay and the puzzles are fun too. One of the main reasons I've never been much of a point and click fan is that many games in the genre have quite a steep learning curve, and the puzzles can be so well hidden and out there it's hard to navigate through the game. This one, however, I was able to eventually work out. The puzzles seem fairly logical when you think about them. It wasn't an easy game, but certainly not in the same league as others in this genre. The only real issues I had at times were because of the graphical anomalies. For example, if there was an object on the floor that's not obvious because of the way it's drawn, sort of blends into the background. Overall though, this game was not impossible, and I managed to get through it just fine in the end, with a bit of playing around. The audio in this game is great. I'm not usually a fan of fully voice acted games, and I thought that a voice acted game with characters that look so creepy might not give great results. Thankfully I was wrong. Each character has their own fully fleshed out voice that sounds brilliant for such a unique looking game. The music's also great. The classical soundtrack is very fitting to the eerie story. Overall then, I actually really enjoyed Syberia. The brilliant and endearing story, the quality soundtrack and the slightly weird at times visuals come together to make a great little game that is very, very easy to recommend for the price I paid. It's a no-brainer in my opinion. Also, for anybody who's interested, Syberia 2 is also on sale for even cheaper. I'm yet to give that a go, but if it's anywhere near the quality of the first game, it's definitely worth a punt. In fact, to be fair, even if I'd have paid full price for this game, I probably wouldn't have even been disappointed. I had a real good time with it and definitely recommend you pick it up at such a low price. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Obviously, depending on the time that you watch it, these games might be at slightly different prices to when you saw this video. However, I can assure you that as somebody who scrolls down the list of sales quite often, these games do appear quite a lot, so I'm sure eventually it will come down in price again, so just keep your eye out. If you did enjoy the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want some more Switch related content, and leave a comment down below on what your thoughts are of these games. Anyway guys, thanks for watching.